Doing this professionally for more than 2 years now. I was actually studying to be a chartered accountant. My name is actually spelled Auditya. I think my dad had this thing that I had to be an auditor and he put audit in my name. But it didn't really turn out that way. You know, I cut out the second half and I made it Audi. Right? And I've always been passionate about photography and, you know, the whole idea that you can tell so much to the world through just a picture. You know, there have been pictures that have changed lives, changed worlds. The big pictures that have, you know, just made you happy. You look at a picture from 10 years ago and it just makes you smile, and that makes you so happy. The power of an image is, to me, still like, it's just a lot, right? And it got me thinking when I was in this phase of making this transition, and you know what, one day I just thought, okay, this is what I have to do. I will be a photographer. I didn't tell anyone at home what I was going to do. I just quit my job one day. I just took a year off to study photography by myself, and the rest is history. Today, people have been really kind. It goes to show that if you really follow your heart, people will appreciate what you do. And I really have to think on lines of what he was saying, because by now I have, you know, 1,500,000 people on my page, but I haven't really made any money off it. So I'm getting in touch with you. But as a photographer, one thing that I've noticed is, and if there are photographers out here, I'm pretty sure you will understand this too, is when you go out there and say, you know what, I'm a photographer, the first thing they will say is, which camera do you have? Invariably, that's the question you get asked. Which camera do you have? Or, oh, you get this good picture because you have this camera, right? And I believe it's something that is sort of sold to us, right? I mean, you look at all these ads and it goes, a camera is so good, all you have to do is click a shutter and stuff like that. It doesn't really work like that, right? People who are photographers, and even in general, you have to take the effort of making sure that you're in the right place, you know, at the right time. Press the shutter at the right moment. The camera is not going to do that for you by itself. I'm sorry, but however advanced it is, it's not going to. It cannot make the picture as good as it is in your head, right? So what I started thinking was, and I've always been telling this to people, that it doesn't matter what you use, it's just how you use whatever you have, right? If you know Chase Jarvis, he runs this thing called Creative Live. Chase Jarvis says whichever camera you have with you at that point is the best camera you can have, right? Because there is just no other alternate. Just make the best use of what you have. So my love affair with the smartphone started in a couple of years ago, right? So I still hadn't made it in photography, so I didn't have too much money with me. So I didn't have a laptop when I was traveling. So I was traveling Delhi and Rajasthan, and I just had one, the flagship Google phone, that the HTC Nexus 1, that's what they launched back then. And I was just going around taking a few pictures on that, right? And how, like he was explaining, how social media works is you need to have your interaction levels daily, right? If you stop posting for a while, then people are not, at that time, all that mattered to me was, I need more people to see my stuff, I need more people to be on my page, I need more people to see my pictures. So I just had to find a way to constantly post a picture. But when I'm traveling in Rajasthan, I have no access to the internet, I have no access to a computer because I didn't carry a laptop. So with time I started using it, and somewhere in between, again, I lost that whole thing about using a smartphone, because a new camera came out, I got a new camera, I got more lenses, and I got so accustomed to using these things, right? So I had my big camera, I had my wide angle lens, I had my telephoto lens, I had a big prime lens, and you sort of get into this comfort zone knowing, oh, this is the equipment I have, I don't have to use something that is, you know, lesser. I know it comes to me easily, right? And when it sort of got to me was, I was sitting in this India-Australia test match in Bangalore, and I just got this DSLR, and I sort of borrowed a telephoto lens from a friend, and Sachin and Dravid had this incredible innings going on. So just sitting, minding my own business, taking pictures of them on field, and there's this gentleman who sits right next to me, and he's like, he looks at me and he goes, how much did you pay for that camera? So this is a 500D that I picked up long ago, and I said, I paid around 50,000. He gives me a serious look, and he's like, how many megapixel does it have? And I was like, 15, and he looked at me like I'd made the biggest mistake in my life. He had the shock on his face. 15 megapixel. How much zoom does it have? I'm like, how much X? I'm like, I couldn't sit and explain to him about how focal length is measured differently, but for the lens I had, I said it has around 5x zoom. And he said, that's all? Look at this camera. I paid 20,000 for it, and it has 20 megapixels and 18x zoom. Don't you think you got ripped off? And I'm like, I was missing a match there, right? Sachin scored a century and I can't sit here explaining this to him. But that's sort of when it hit me, right? Even I was sort of getting in this comfort zone of just using whatever DSLR I had without thinking about it's not what you use but how you use it, right? So when I was traveling, I traveled with a couple of friends last year to Thailand and Cambodia, and I just got this new phone. I used, an HTC One X, and I'd heard so much about its camera being so good, and about it being able to get good pictures. So I thought, you know what, let me just try it. Right? Let me just go and see what I can do with this. So I just took this camera with me when I was traveling, and what I noticed after a while was I loved how simple it made photography for me again. It made it so simple. Right? So often we get caught in, oh, I don't have this lens, so I don't know if I'll be able to take this picture. Right? Oh, the light is just not enough. I don't know if I'll be able to take this picture. Right? Oh, there's too much noise. That's that. Nothing in my head. Right? One phone, one focal length. Take the picture if you want to, otherwise leave it. Right? That's how simple it made to me, and I enjoyed that again. It sort of put fun back into photography. Right? It's the most simple thing. I'm not saying they don't have good cameras. They have amazing cameras for phones. I mean, that phone was better than a digital camera that I paid 20,000 for 5 years ago. Right? But it's still as basic as it gets. Right? So here are a few pictures that I took, and as I took these pictures, somebody from HTC saw these pictures and they started sharing these pictures on their page. And ever since, I actually have sort of, a lasting relationship with HTC, because there are so many times you're just out. This was early morning, just around sunrise. Right? I was just outside, I had to get a cup of tea, but I think this looked amazing. The sun hitting this and the reflection of the glass. Where did I have my camera? Right? I had the choice of making whether it's okay, I don't have a good camera, so I won't get a 19 million megapixel image, or did I just take a simple picture that I could at that point, right? So it's just stuff like this that keeps going by us, but we sort of tend to ignore that there is so much that you can do with the camera that you have in your pocket. Right? And this was actually a band that wanted me to, it's a funny story. So they wanted me to shoot their gig, but they didn't really have, a lot of money to pay at that point. So for me, for commercial reasons, I said no. Right? But then I felt bad, and so I took my phone and went and shot, and I still got pretty good pictures, and they were so happy, and they used these pictures later. So this was shot on a phone itself. Right? I was having lunch with a friend one day. On the roof, there were people who were cleaning it. Right? This is at what mall is that near Malleshwaram? That big Mantri Mall. Yeah, this is at Mantri Mall. They were just cleaning that thing on top. This wouldn't have been possible otherwise, right? So this looks like a seahorse and an elephant sort of got together and did some stuff in the clouds. But but sort of what happened was I was riding my bike and I came to this junction and I see this amazing cloud. It was gone in 30 seconds, right? So again, it's all these small moments that a smartphone sort of helps you capture that you wouldn't have otherwise been able to. Today, it gives us the power of carrying a camera in your pocket and making the best of it. And that's sort of what I love about, smartphones, the flexibility they give you, is just incredible. So stuff like this is what made me want to start clicking more and more, with smartphones. And see, this was just a random person waiting for somebody outside a bathroom, I think. But I didn't show their face, so I think I'm good. Some people may like this. So this is Angkor Wat, okay? So these are pictures that I took when I went to Thailand, and this is sort of what HTC absolutely loved. And what happened was there's this grill. You've all heard of Angkor Wat? It's in Cambodia, and it's this beautiful bunch of temples, and they're all in ruins now, but they still look amazing. And thankfully for me, the weather was really good. So I was there, and so you're out inside a building at this point, and there are grills. Right? So you have to put your hand through and then take a picture. Would my DSLR fit through? The grills are this big, and thank God I have thin hands. Right? So I just took a phone, put it through, and I took a picture. Right? I don't know if you can even tell it's taken off a phone. Yeah, but everything of this was done on the phone. People say, oh, it was edited. No, it was just, so smartphones today even have HDR modes and stuff like that. So I just took it on that and I processed it on the phone itself. And this is what it turned out to be, right? So the power of image making lies in your head. If you see something and if you think you can make it look good, you can. If you want to tell a story, you will somehow. right? All these things that I don't have a lens and I don't have a camera and I need a full frame sensor are reasons you're making because you just don't want to go out there and do it. The minute you feel like you actually want to go out there, do it and tell your story, it doesn't matter what you have, because when I started with a use and throw Kodak camera. Right, and some of the pictures I absolutely love are still on that. Right, the first picture I took was actually 1st of October 1995 was the first picture I ever took, and 1st of October 2010 is when I started my photography business 15 years later. Right, so pictures like that, see, they bring so much back, right? So it doesn't matter sort of what you're using. See, this was again, it was pouring on that day. I was in Gokarna, and it was pouring, and it just looked so amazing. Right, and I couldn't take my camera out because I risked ruining equipment worth lakhs. Right, so I just took my phone off and put it back inside, and this is the picture I got. Okay, so another thing that hit me when equipment doesn't matter was, like I was telling you earlier, this whole thing that the ads feed us and this media feeds us that, oh, you need this, you need that, you need to have this lens, you need to have this camera, is I work with this organization called Make a Difference, and they educate children in orphanages and shelter homes across India. Today they're in around 23, 24 cities, and it's some amazing work they do. So last year I traveled with them to more than 13 cities, right? So one of the fun assignments that I thought I'll do is, since we are so exposed to the media, when we go to a place, we either Google it or get pictures of something that we have seen of it, or we would have watched a TV program about it at some point, right? But these kids have no idea of that. They live in an orphanage with people of their kind, very underprivileged people who want to go out there and see the world. And so what I thought I'll do was put a camera in all their hands. Because I'm a photographer, that's what I could think of. So I'll put a camera in their hands and see what story they can tell. And the pictures they came up with is just incredible, right? The pictures they sort of came up with was just amazing. They saw the place in a whole new way. Every little thing, sort of excited them, right? So one of the kids, he came to me, and I was using my camera with my telephoto lens, and he was carrying my phone. He had my phone in his hand, and he was walking around, and he said, "You take a picture with your camera. I want to see how it'll be." Okay, and somebody was standing there, so he was taking a picture of his friend, and I was standing right next to him, and he said, "Take a picture of him." Okay, and I was about to take a picture, but I can't because it's a telephoto lens, and he's really too close. And I tell him I can't, he's too close, and he's like, "But this camera can." That's the exact opposite end of what that guy I met at the cricket stadium, right? Simple minds want simple things, right? We are all simple people at the end of the day, and we try to complicate it for ourselves. So smartphone sort of helps me get that simplicity back. It's like stripped off everything else, just a camera, you go explore the world sort of thing, right? So this is, I took this during one of their assignments, and this is, I think, in Bhopal, I think. So this kid wanted to take a picture from higher up, and he was too short. So one of the volunteers sort of took him on his shoulders. More than just that, see what a business segment photography itself has become. How many of you know about Instagram? What a runaway success that was, right? I mean, can you imagine, who would have thought, a company that started just one day would suddenly be sold to Facebook for, $1 billion, right? People said it was overvalued. Whatever, they made their money, right? They're happy. So these are a bunch of pictures that I took on my phone and then edited them with Instagram, right? And now I sort of have my own following on Instagram as well. But isn't it amazing that I think this is mannequin torture. Yeah, I posted some funny comment about this. I can't remember what it was now. But see, stuff like this. This was just a flower that was fallen on my car. This is the windshield of the car. And that's the reflection of the sky and a board in the background. Right? So it's just simple stuff like this is stuff that I'm looking for. And, see, again, Gokarna. I keep going to that place every 2 months. So clouds, sorry, I don't know what happened to that picture. This is again in Thailand. This is another one that HTC used. This is inside a straw, actually. Hold on. Imagine getting your DSLR inside. That's inside a straw. That's Coke. So I just put the camera on top of a straw, and I took a picture through it. And it's just stuff like this. In the end, you'll find a way to experiment, with whatever you want. You have that camera, you'll try and do whatever you can with it. Here you go. This is one of the other kids who was using my cameras. So it's just See, this is another one that I clicked through a grill. This is in utility building, you guys know, the tallest building in Bangalore. It's 22 floors. People in the rest of the world are still making fun of us that the tallest building in Bangalore is 22 floors. But again, I had to put my hand through the grill. Would a normal camera have allowed me to do that? I don't think so, right? So whatever was in my pocket was what I could make of it. So not just that, but cameras are suddenly growing to be such powerful mediums that even just the stuff you have on your camera that it comes with, right? So the phone I use, the HTC One X sort of comes with its own editing suite on the phone, right? And I'll show you the kind of difference it makes. It can actually make your pictures look so much more professional, right? You see this? This is one of the modes that you have. This is just a normal picture, and this is how many of you have heard HDR, right? So you have more details, and see that's inbuilt HDR mode in the camera itself, right? See, this is one picture before and that's after, right? And all this is done on the phone itself, right? If I were to show you this picture on some day and I said I clicked it off a good camera, you would still buy it. You wouldn't be able to tell that's of a smartphone. And that's what's so much. In fact, I think the most used cameras on Flickr, I think, are camera phones, right? Because it's so accessible to everybody. See, all these oh, this is pretty drastic actually. So this is the actual image, and that's what it became. Again, on the phone, right? So you can sort of bring the outcome that you want to your picture, and you can do all these things. And for those of you who are wondering, okay, you know what, you click picture for fun on a smartphone, now what? What can you do with it? I, about 3 weeks back, went to Sri Lanka and did an assignment where I shot all of Sri Lanka with just a smartphone, right? I shot 95% of the time with just a smartphone, and we're going to be having an exhibition with these pictures, right? So there is always a way you can sort of, with whatever you have, if that was the phone that you have on that day, if that was the basic camera that you have on that day, that is what you can use. So at the end of the day, all I want to say is, I know every one of us has smartphones today, right? Every one of us, I'm pretty sure everyone here has a smartphone or is going to get a smartphone pretty soon, because it's just how we're going to progress, right? You're connected throughout. Everybody gets their mails. Everybody gets, Facebook messages. Facebook, like you were saying, everybody wants to be on Facebook, right? And smartphones are the way forward. But how if you took that shift and sort of helped you? See, I'm not going to tell you smartphone's going to take the best pictures and, equipment. Of course, equipment matters. It will help you with time. But smartphone sort of helps you take better pictures because you're starting with something so basic. Every so now and then you need to take you down to the basics and get what you want. So when you start shooting with a smartphone, you sort of start getting all those things right. All those basic things that you suddenly stopped ignoring because you had a shallow depth of field. You suddenly start thinking about all those things, right? And that's what I want to say. Whatever you have with you, just go make the best possible image that you can and tell the best story that you can. Thank you so much.